And now we turn to days of ongoing protests in D.C. during a visit from Israel's prime minister.
Thousands gathered in Washington to protest the prime minister's address and demand an end to the war in Gaza.
Members of Congress, I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel.
The latest here this morning, the Human Rights Watch saying Israel committing war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Gaza Strip, including massive forced displacements that amount to ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from parts of Gaza. Palestinians have been killed while evacuating under Israeli orders.
Do you ever get the feeling that something is wrong, but you don't know what it is? That civilization itself is falling apart, all around us? And from within a whirlwind of propaganda and censorship, is it even possible to take an objective look at our own society? For thousands of years, historians and other scholars have studied civilizations from long in the past, painstakingly gathering and analyzing information in order to learn as much as possible about ancient peoples and their societies. The languages they spoke, the things that they valued, the mythologies that shaped their cultures and beliefs, the gods that they worshipped, by which order and meaning could be projected onto the natural world. Evil spirits, by which the enemies of individuals or classes could be portrayed as the enemies of all humanity. What if we imagined ourselves as historians from a distant future, observing our current society as an ancient civilization that ceased to exist long ago? Allowing ourselves a completely detached and objective perspective based only on the evidence we were able to uncover. What would we be able to learn about the present situation? For this experiment, we will be taking a look at a vast empire known as the West, at approximately the year 2025 CE, with a focus on the apparent center of this empire, the United States of America. To begin, what can we learn about the basic value system of this empire from the statements of some of its leaders?
These two documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They are how we became the greatest nation on earth. They are why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world.
We have encountered countless rendezvous with death because we have this constant attachment to freedom and democracy.
Racial inequality is one of the causes that brought me into politics, and the eradication of structural racism will be a defining cause for the next Labour government.
But the liberal democracies that we built, and actually the Americans built in the past decades, is that rules-based order, that constitutional system is limiting power, and that is under attack.
From the public proclamations of their leaders, we can gather that these nations, calling themselves liberal democracies, were governed according to liberal values of limited government and protection of human rights, the ideal of democracy and self-governance by the people, and a strong belief in egalitarianism with a focus on racial equality. Could the idealistic and moralistic nature of this governing style suggest a strong religious influence on this form of society? If so, what was the national religion? Studies from this period show that the religion which had dominated the West for over 1,000 years, Christianity, was in a state of rapid decline and had been reduced to only a shadow of the influence it once had. Was the position formerly occupied by Christianity being filled by a new national religion? If so, what was it? From the facts at hand, the answer seems unclear. Perhaps a new religion was being imposed on the West by foreign conquerors? It appears that during the year 2020, there was widespread destruction and chaos in urban centers across America. Had this destruction been the result of a war of invasion by foreign armies? To identify the potential invaders, let's take a look at who the representatives of the U.S. government were declaring to be the greatest enemy threat during this time. In October of 2020, the Department of Homeland Security of President Donald Trump would describe white supremacy as the most lethal threat to the United States, an assessment that was shared by the following administration of President Joseph Biden.
The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
So let me ask first, Secretary Mayorkas, is it still your assessment that white supremacist extremists are the most lethal threat we face in the homeland today?
Mr. Chairman, I do believe that the intelligence reflects the fact that indeed that is the case.
But you do agree with your predecessors that white supremacist extremists remain the most persistent lethal threat in the homeland?
I do believe they do at this time, Mr. Chairman.
And Attorney General Garland, do you agree?
I do, and that's the most recent assessment of the FBI.
Thank you.
Now a clearer picture is starting to emerge. Around the year 2020, a hostile foreign nation known as the Whites must have launched a deadly invasion into the American homeland in an attempt to establish their white supremacy. But upon further investigation, it appears that whites weren't a foreign enemy at all, but were actually the racial majority group and founding stock of the United States and the entirety of the West. And the massive destruction and chaos taking place across America, including the capturing of police departments and courthouses and the establishment of autonomous zones outside of the control of the U.S. government, wasn't the work of invading armies or the fearsome white supremacist menace, but was actually being carried out by organized groups of anarchist terrorists and other extremists under the guise of fighting against white supremacy. And it seems that the U.S. government and law enforcement agencies, apparently committed to the same ideology as these rioters, largely stood by and allowed the violence and destruction to happen, while offering the terrorists frequent symbolic gestures of submission and solidarity. Within the mainstream culture and institutions of power, the white racial majority had come to be viewed as the ultimate threat and the source of all evil.
So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right. And we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them. There is no ban on, they have the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban. So what do we do about that?
My concern is doing away with whiteness. Whiteness is a form of racial oppression, sure. The suggestion is that it is somehow possible to separate whiteness from oppression, and it is not. There can be no white race without the phenomenon of white supremacy. The task is to bring this minority together in such a way that it makes it impossible for the legacy of whiteness to continue to reproduce itself.
Apparently, the white race was such a major problem for this empire that its leaders would openly announce a policy of reducing the white racial majority to a dwindling minority through mass non-white immigration.
And the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. An unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America, from then and on, will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
Whites will not be the majority. I mean, it's an exciting transformation of the country. It's an exciting evolution and progress of our country in many different ways.
A lot of the real craziness comes, if you like, from rural white Americans who feel that they're losing their country, they're losing ownership of the country. And they're right. I mean, we are becoming more diverse, more multicultural, and they are, in the end, they are not the future. In the end, the power they still have will go away. But it's a very difficult time until then.
Even the direct encouragement of racially motivated violence against whites seems to have been an accepted practice in the culture and institutions.
There are no good apples out there. White people make my blood boil. And the fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way, scaring their body, and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless. Was about to myself, like I did the world a fucking favor.
In just one of many examples of the anti-white violence apparently encouraged by this society's institutions, 28-year-old Audrey Hale, targeting white children for their white privileges, shot her way into an elementary school in Nashville, Tennessee, where she murdered 3 adults and 3 children before being killed by police. What was it about white people that had made them the enemies of humanity within their own societies? According to the U.S. government's own crime statistics, whites were vastly underrepresented in violent crime and don't appear to have actually been a major lethal threat to other racial groups. Why was a system claiming to be based on the values of democracy and racial equality targeting the majority of its own population on the basis of their race? The dominant belief in the unmatched evil of the white race and the overwhelming threat of white supremacy doesn't seem to have had any actual basis in reality and appears to have been supernatural in nature, perhaps giving us a glimpse into the mysterious religious practices of this society. Were there any other public crusades being carried out at this time that can improve our understanding of the racial and religious beliefs at the foundation of this liberal West? During the 2024 American presidential campaign, it seems that something called anti-Semitism was being portrayed as a major threat to America.
And in America, the evil anti-Semitism is rampaging all throughout our cities. We're here tonight because we believe that this vicious outbreak of militant anti-Semitism is very militant, must be given no quarter, no safe harbor, no place in a civilized society.
It seems that the term anti-Semitism was used to refer to negative attitudes towards a group of people called Jews, and in this particular context, to criticism of the Jewish state of Israel. In May of 2024, Elise Stefanik, a member of the U.S. Congress and representative of the Trump presidential campaign, would travel to Israel to announce her official policy on anti-Semitism to the Israeli government.
As long as I serve the American people, I will defend George Washington's vision of religious pluralism and freedom. Today, this means crushing anti-Semitism at home and supplying the state of Israel with what it needs, when it needs it, without conditions to achieve total victory in the face of evil.
While beginning his second presidential term, Trump's administration would take aggressive executive action against the evil anti-Semitism, including removing funding from universities that allow protests of Israel on their campuses, and prioritizing the deportation of critics of the Israeli government.
We will deport the foreign jihad sympathizers, and we will deport them very quickly, and Hamas supporters will be gone. We will remove the jihadist sympathizers and Jew haters. We're going to remove the Jew haters who do nothing to help our country. They only want to destroy our country.
After promising mass deportations of illegal immigrants with a focus on dangerous criminals, the Trump administration's immigration enforcement policies would halt investigations into things like human trafficking and drug smuggling in order to target foreign students for deportation if they had criticized Israel on social media. If criticism of Israel was considered a major threat by the U.S. government, what was the nature of the relationship between the U.S. government and Israel?
You know, the biggest change I've seen in Congress is Israel literally owned Congress. You understand that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was so powerful. They had such power, Israel had such power, and rightfully, over Congress.
I have said to people when they ask me, if this Capitol crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid. And I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel.
For as long as I live, for as long as I have the privilege of serving in the Senate from New York, I will unflinchingly, unstintingly, and with all of my strength be Shomer Yisrael, a guardian of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, Am Yisrael Chai.
I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. And I've worked every day to do that.
You know, I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them, destroy them, a second Holocaust in the making.
Marry, kill, communism, socialism, capitalism.
I would marry capitalism, Israel. And as I finish, I wanted to come back here to Israel and let you know that I serve you as the mayor.
It's almost, I say as a Christian, it should be mandated to go to Israel before you get to heaven. I'm so with you.
I say come to Israel.
It appears that by this point in its history, America had been reduced to a humiliating state of vassalage under the Jewish nation of Israel. Typically, vassal states exist under the domination of a much larger and stronger power that they cannot challenge militarily. But surprisingly, Israel was much smaller than the United States and was largely dependent on American military power for its security. Could the central position that Israel and Jewish issues occupied in the political life of America be explained by an overwhelming Jewish population size? In fact, population data from the time shows that Jews only comprised around 2% of the American population and could hardly justify America's Israel fixation based on its values of democracy and representative government. Was Israel known to the world as a leader in the values of racial equality and human rights that America claimed to be based upon, perhaps compelling America to support the Jewish state in order to enhance its own international reputation? On the contrary, America's relationship with Israel appears to have been a source of international disgrace, as Israel was seen by much of the world to be committing a genocide of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip with the active participation of the American government. It was protests of this genocide that led the American government to take unprecedented action to suppress criticism of Israel and the Jewish people. In the years leading up to the 2024 presidential election, a majority of U.S. states had enacted measures to effectively outlaw boycotts of Israel, as well as speech and protest deemed to be anti-Semitic. In April of 2023, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis traveled to Israel to sign into Florida law legislation designed to suppress anti-Semitic speech, only 4 years after he had signed a similar Florida anti-Semitism law in Israel in May of 2019. And with the 2024 election of Donald Trump, in the context of widespread outrage over Israel's genocide, fighting anti-Semitism would become a major priority of the federal government as well.
As President of the United States, I will always support Jewish Americans, and I will always be a friend and a champion to the Jewish people. I have been. And I will say, if you go back 10, 12, 15 years ago at the most, the strongest lobby in Washington was the Jewish lobby. It was Israel. Within days of taking office, I signed a historic executive order to combat the vile scourge of anti-Semitism, as you know. It's the strongest executive order of its kind ever signed. Harmeet Dillon is here. And she sues the ass off of anybody that is anti-Semitic. She's doing a lot of them right now.
We have secured a $200 million settlement with Columbia University for violating the civil rights of Jewish students. We've secured a $75 million settlement with Northwestern University for anti-Semitic conduct. We've secured a $60 million settlement with Cornell that includes provisions to halt anti-Semitic conduct. And we've launched a full investigation into University of California's system for systematic anti-Semitism.
As my predecessor said, I condemn anti-Semitism on the right and on the left. I'm an equal opportunity condemner of anti-Semitism.
You're alluding to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, none of them are any good on the right. On the left, I don't like any of these anti-Semites, and I'm not shy about it. But the government, the United States government, or the government of France, or the government of any other country, has the power to rein in anti-Semitism in a much more effective way. And people say, well, the governments are not in the business of changing the way people think. That's true, but, to my thinking, most people who are, anti-Semites, most of these people running around, we're not going to win their hearts and minds because they don't have hearts and they don't have minds. So, how are we going to, there's no reason to think we're ever going to convince them, but we can deport them, we can put them in jail, we can make their lives miserable, we can cut off their funding, and that's what the Trump administration is doing for the first time.
But if anti-Semitism was going to become a matter of government policy, what definition of anti-Semitism would the government be using? In 2016, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, IHRA, adopted its working definition of anti-Semitism, which would classify things like speaking about the collective power of Jews over societal institutions such as the media and government, holding a traditional interpretation of the Christian religion, and accusing Jews of having more loyalty to Jews in Israel than to the nations in which they reside, as examples of anti-Semitism. The definition would also attempt to narrowly dictate what criticisms of Israel were or were not anti-Semitic, simultaneously claiming that the existence of the State of Israel was the collective right of all Jewish people, and that collectively associating Jews with Israel was an act of anti-Semitism.
L'antisionisme est une des formes modernes de l'antisémitisme. C'est pourquoi je confirme que la France, qui, comme vous l'avez rappelé, l'a endossé en décembre avec ses partenaires européens, mettra en œuvre la définition de l'antisémitisme adoptée par l'Alliance internationale pour la mémoire de la Shoah.
Over the following years, many Western governments, including the UK, Germany, France, and Canada, would adopt the IHRA working definition of anti-Semitism into official government policy. In America, a majority of state governments would quickly sign on to the definition. And in 2019, U.S. President Donald Trump issued an executive order instructing federal agencies to use the IHRA definition when enforcing civil rights law. What gave one organization such power to unilaterally shape policy across the West? Apparently, the perceived authority and legitimacy of this organization flowed from its association with the Holocaust, referring to the systematic extermination of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany during a cataclysmic global conflict known as World War II. Included in the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism is denial of the facts of the Holocaust or allegations of its exaggeration by the Jews in Israel. Apparently, the Holocaust was taken so seriously in this civilization that much of the Western world had moved to make such Holocaust denial illegal, delivering sentences of up to years in prison for the questioning of the facts of the Holocaust, giving it a sacrosanct position not shared by any other historical event. Could it be possible that the Holocaust was a central part of the mystery religion governing the West and its apparent deference to the Jews and Israel? Abraham Foxman, as the head of a powerful Jewish organization called the Anti-Defamation League, would describe the religious significance of the Holocaust, stating, "The Holocaust is something different. It is a singular event. It is not simply one example of genocide, but a near-successful attempt on the life of God's chosen children, and thus, on God Himself. It is an event that is the antithesis of creation as recorded in the Bible, and like its direct opposite, which is relived weekly with the Sabbath and yearly with the Torah, it must be remembered from generation to generation." Typically, the dominant religious beliefs of a civilization are instilled in its children from a very young age as part of the process of education. Long after the West's former religion, Christianity, had been officially removed from America's education system, a majority of U.S. states had passed laws requiring Holocaust education in all schools. During the signing of one such law in Wisconsin, Holocaust education policymaker Mark Miller spoke of the cultural significance of learning about the Holocaust.
You now realize that never again is not just for the Jewish people, it's for all humanity. This learning about the Holocaust makes you is the finest part of being a person. I have talked to so many people.
More than a few Israeli scholars, philosophers, probably the most famous are Professor Yeshaya Leibovich and Professor Adi Ophir, commented in the past that the Holocaust, has become a new Jewish religion. It is quite clear, especially when we witness the level of institutional harassment you are subject to, or when we look at the amount of Holocaust shrines that they build all over America and Europe, it is becoming a Western religion.
Apparently, these Holocaust shrines, often in the form of Holocaust museums, were seen as holy sites in the Western culture and were to be treated with utmost reverence.
Auschwitz is like the Holy of Holies. I prepared years to go there. And to have a fool coming completely unprepared, it's sacrilege. Somebody who walks into the Holy of Holies and doesn't give a damn.
And you know what? If you can't behave in the right way when you go to Auschwitz concentration camp or any other place where the mass extermination of the Nazi Germans during the Second World War took place, don't go. If you don't have the empathy to understand what happened at these places, you don't deserve to go there. It is not a holiday, it is not a special treat, and it certainly is not ticking something off your bucket list. It's your obligation as a human to the human race.
These shrines would also serve as places for those who had sinned against the Holocaust and the Jews to receive absolution.
You know, we can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about. Well, let's talk about...
For invoking the Holocaust in a comparison to restrictions during the COVID pandemic, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene would face overwhelming backlash from both sides in the political arena, who apparently viewed the comments as akin to blasphemy. In his response to Greene, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy would call the comments appalling and would reinforce the sacred nature of the Holocaust by referring to it as the greatest atrocity committed in history.
Ryan and Representative Greene just spoke after secretly visiting the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington. Tell our viewers what she said.
I have made a mistake, and it's really bothered me for a couple of weeks now. And so I definitely want to own it. The horrors of the Holocaust are something that some people don't even believe happened, and some people deny, but there is no comparison to the Holocaust. And there are words that I have said and remarks that I've made that I know are offensive, and for that I want to apologize. Anti-Semitism is true hate, and I saw that today at the Holocaust Museum, and I think it's something that we should all remember and never forget. So I just wanted to come here today and say that I'm truly sorry for offending people with remarks about the Holocaust. There's no comparison. There never ever will be.
Only after visiting the local Holocaust shrine and paying the proper respects to the Holocaust could the Congresswoman be accepted back into the political sphere. A similar incident would occur when Elon Musk, owner of the social media platform X, would respond to a post on the platform accusing Jewish communities of pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them, by replying, "You have said the actual truth." Musk would quickly face mounting backlash over the comment, including from investors in his companies and even the Biden White House. And despite being one of the richest and most powerful people in the world, Musk would soon have to pay tribute at the Auschwitz concentration camp, flanked by Jewish political commentator Ben Shapiro. Musk would claim that his controversial post was referring specifically to Jewish organizations such as the Anti-Defamation League, a powerful Jewish pressure group led by CEO Jonathan Greenblatt.
Again, I think my job as the head of the ADL is to call balls and strikes, not to play for the red team, not to play for the blue team. The only team I play for is the Jewish team.
Jewish groups like the ADL appear to have served as the official priest class within the Western Holocaust religion, wielding enormous influence over what was considered acceptable speech and who could participate in the society. In his book, It Could Happen Here, Greenblatt would speak of the role of the ADL in providing atonement and forgiveness to repentant sinners against the Jews. In January of 2021, media personality Whoopi Goldberg made statements about the Holocaust on her television program, The View, which were seen as heretical and out of line with official Holocaust doctrine. On the show's next episode, Jonathan Greenblatt was invited to receive an official apology from Goldberg and give a corrective sermon about the Holocaust.
So yesterday on our show, I misspoke. I said something that I feel a responsibility for not leaving unexamined because my words upset so many people, which was never my intention. And I understand why now.
Your platform, Whoopi, is so important. Using it now to educate people to realize that anti-Semitism remains a clear and present danger.
Yes.
In return for confessing her sins, Goldberg would be let off easy, receiving a 2-week suspension instead of being fired. What was the offending statement that had almost cost Goldberg her career?
Well, also, if you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
It's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's about
it's not about
ideal race.
But these are two white groups of people.
Well, they have after black people
see them as white people.
But you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, everybody eats each other.
Goldberg's interpretation of the Holocaust, a universal message about cruelty between humans rather than persecution of Jews specifically, may have struck a nerve, as it reflected a heated, long-standing debate within the Holocaust priesthood itself over what kind of message Gentiles should be receiving from the Holocaust. In the late 1970s, Jewish Holocaust survivor Simon Wiesenthal made a significant edit to Holocaust doctrine, changing the official death toll of the Holocaust from 6 million Jews to 11 million civilians, comprised of 6 million Jews and 5 million non-Jews. This 5 million figure would soon become a source of controversy within the Holocaust priesthood. Why? Because Wiesenthal had invented the number out of thin air. According to Holocaust scholar Yehuda Bauer, his friend Wiesenthal privately admitted that he had chosen the number for a very specific reason. He wanted a number large enough to attract the attention of non-Jews who might not otherwise care about Jewish suffering, but not larger than the actual number of Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust, 6 million. Bauer would later claim to have confronted Wiesenthal over the fabrication, saying, "Simon, you are telling a lie," to which Wiesenthal would reply, "Sometimes you need to do that, to get the results for things you think are essential." Wiesenthal would be very successful in marketing his new version of the Holocaust, and despite the fact that these 5 million non-Jewish deaths were the completely fictional creation of just one Jew, they would become officially recognized by the U.S. government, with President Jimmy Carter using the 11 million figure when signing an executive order establishing the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, while the number would also begin to be taught as fact in classrooms across America. As Yehuda Bauer would explain, the main problem with the figure is not that non-Jews were not victims of a genocide, but that the term Holocaust must only refer to Jewish deaths. And for referring to the 5 million non-Jewish deaths, which the White House had officially recognized in 1979 after being convinced by Bauer's friend and colleague Simon Wiesenthal, Bauer would find the Trump administration guilty of soft Holocaust denial. Despite the government references to the 5 million, which caused such concern for Bauer and others, maximizing the religious significance of Jewish deaths and therefore Jewish lives, and minimizing the importance of all other people would soon become official government policy. Holocaust scholar Michael Berenbaum who served as deputy director of Jimmy Carter's Presidential Commission on the Holocaust from 1979 through 1980, before serving as project director for the resulting creation of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum from 1988 to 1993, and directing the museum's Holocaust Research Institute until 1997. Would boast of the museum's role in shaping public understanding of the Second World War, which claimed the lives of an estimated 60 to 75 million people, stating, "The Holocaust was a side story of World War II. Now one thinks of World War II as a background story to the Holocaust." Jewish organizations would also take efforts to suppress competing religions, actively opposing any claims to genocide by non-Jewish ethnic groups. Believing that the Holocaust stands alone in history, holding religious significance beyond all compare, the ADL under Abe Foxman would spend years fighting against the recognition of the Armenian genocide as a genocide. And referring to the Holodomor, in which Jewish officials of the Soviet Union murdered somewhere between 3.5 and 10 million Ukrainians in a man-made famine, Ephraim Zurov, the head of the Jerusalem office of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, would urge the government of Israel not to recognize the event as a genocide, arguing that communist crimes could not amount to genocide because it would mean Jews had committed genocide, and this would effectively remove the special moral status of the Jewish people. Indeed, the Holocaust doesn't seem to have been used as a universal warning about man's inhumanity to man, but was instead used to justify Jewish brutality against any non-Jewish group.
Despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide. And against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland.
Are you seriously keep on asking me about Palestinian civilians? What's wrong with you? Have you not seen what happened? We're fighting Nazis.
And I remember what we did in World War II when we destroyed the city of Dresden just to send a signal. I think you're looking at the total reduction, if necessary, of the city of Gaza. You know, Sandra, they've got to do this. This to them is an existential fight. Hamas did something that we haven't seen since World War II, when the Nazis basically exterminated 1/3 of the Jewish population.
Why should the world tolerate you having nuclear weapons and not, say, Iran?
First, again, we never admitted to have such weapons. But the very comparison is, I must say, it's very insulting, and I tell you why. We suffered one Holocaust. We listened to our neighbors.
Is it because of the Holocaust that you should be allowed to have nuclear weapons?
You know what? This interview was finished now.
Jeremy England, a Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford educated physicist and Orthodox rabbi, would explain in a 2024 article for Tablet magazine that because of their exceptional nature, Jews must not follow morality as dictated by the Gentile world. Following the Talmudic wisdom that even the righteous among the enemy must be killed, including defenseless women and children, England would argue that Israel should have no hesitation in killing civilians and should ruthlessly carry out the conquest and ethnic cleansing of Gaza.
But forgive us if we don't give a shit. If, everybody there dies. It's just the way we feel. It's just the way Israelis feel. And so I would, if you gave me a button to just erase Gaza, every single living being in Gaza would no longer be living tomorrow, I would press it in a second. That's just, I think most Israelis
if that's
agree.
The choice, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't help but think, it's nice to know that you're dancing in a concert while hundreds of thousands of Gazans are,
homeless,
like sitting in a tent and eating.
Makes it even better.
Yeah.
More enjoyable concert. If only they put the
live video
footage of Gaza Like, but seriously, you guys, like, that's what people don't understand. Look, like, I know that you guys might be appalled by this, some of the listeners, but seriously, this is how Israelis feel. But I have conversations with lots of people, co-workers, friends. People enjoy knowing that they are suffering.
No, also it's very...
While Jews felt emboldened to openly disregard Christian morality, it appears that many Christians understood the racial superiority of the Jews and unconditional support of Israel to be essential components of the Christian faith.
One, as a Christian, growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel.
I don't know why I was born, but there is something about the state of Israel that connects deeply to me. To have the privilege to stand with the Jew is a tremendous honor, spiritually. So I want to read a letter that I wrote that I am sending to the state of Israel.
And I think it's so important because I'm not Jewish. I am a Gentile. And when I did my 23andMe test, I was hoping, is there some Jewish blood in me somewhere? And I found out I'm hopelessly Gentile. I am white trash.
Stop.
Well, no, I'm Scottish and Irish. Everything we have came through the Jewish people. I'm not Jewish. I wish I was. I did one of those 23andMe tests. I was hoping, I have some Jewish blood. I have none. I'm just pathetically white. Irish, English, white trash. That's what I am.
Every good thing we know, all the things we love about the Bible, they were given to us of the Jewish nation. Israel, their people, the Jews, are better than all of us. They're better than all of us. And you need to accept that. When Jesus said salvation is of the Jews, he was right.
A 2023 poll from the Pew Research Center, which found Jews to be the most popular religious group among Americans overall, also found that while Jews were the most popular religious group among evangelical Protestants were the religious group most disliked by Jews, with Jews viewing evangelicals, their biggest fans, over 4 times less favorable than Muslims, considered by many to be adversaries of the Jews. And in Israel, Christians, who were second-class citizens under basic law which limited self-determination to the Jewish people, faced constant harassment and violence from the Jewish population, including spitting on Christians and desecration of churches, with some Israelis even believing that Christians should be killed.
That is a free world, yes?
You're not in the United States. You're in Israel.
I understand.
You cannot say whatever you want to say here.
Yes, you can. It's legal. It is legal to preach about Yeshua. That is the godly thing to do. We respect one another.
The godly thing to do is just to kill you.
The godly thing is to kill me.
That's right. That's
yes?
what the Torah says.
The Torah says to kill us.
The Torah says that people who worship idols such as yourself, when there is a Sanhedrin,
to kill us.
Yes.
לירוק על נוצרים. האם זה בסדר? מצד מה? האם מבחינת התורה?
לך, כאילו.
אז ככה.
מה אתה אומר?
אם הם עובדי עבודה זרה, אז אנחנו צריכים למוס בהם ולשקט אותם ולרמוס אותם ובעיקרון גם להרוג אותם, כי הרי גוי חייב בשבע מצוות בני נוח, ואם הוא לא מקיים את זה צריך להרוג אותו.
אז זה שמישהו מאמין בישו ונצרות וזה, זה...
אז צריך להרוג אותו.
האלוהים שלי הוא חלק מאיש, אז צריך להרוג אותו. מי שמזלזל באלוהים שלי, אז אני אהרוג אותו. תפקידה בעולם זה לעשות טוב, לגרום שהעולם יהיה נקי.
כן.
אז כל בן אדם שיאמין באיזה בן זונה אחד.
אבל איזה כתוב? אבל איפה זה כתוב?
God chose us to be a messenger. Otherwise, why be a chosen people? Why would God choose a people if not to give a message to the rest of humanity? It makes no sense whatsoever.
While some viewed the Jews as a priestly class sent to deliver a divine message to humanity, others viewed them as something even more. In an article for the Jerusalem Post, Shmuley Boteach, consistently ranked by Newsweek as one of the most influential rabbis in America, would sincerely ask the question, is God an anti-Semite for allowing bad things to happen to Jews? And would demand the Almighty change his behavior if he wanted to beat the allegation. Apparently, it was the religious belief of many Jews like Rabbi Shmuley that each individual Jew was more powerful than God himself.
I want you to know that I will die the way I was born, a believing Jew. That there is no power in the universe, including you, God, creator of heaven and earth, he who fills the infinite expanse of space. I, as a Jew, am stronger than you. My name is Israel, he who wrestles with God and is victorious. I will die with my faith intact. There is nothing you can do.
I just want to say this to our Christian friends, you know, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you know, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us, because we all die for your sins every single day, and that's exactly what's going on here. Yeah. We're all God's firstborn, and we're dying for your sins right now.
You have a new and different faith, a happy clappy faith, where everybody is nice, everybody is sweet, that nobody has original sin. The only sin that's still left is Nazi sin. That's the new religion. And Hitler is the devil. The 6 million are the Redeemer, which means that the Jewish people are God. That's the religion today. And that's deadly, absolutely deadly. It's got nothing to do with the Catholic faith, except that it's a clever imitation of the Catholic faith. Because you get Auschwitz instead of Golgotha, and the gas chamber instead of the cross. That's deadly. But ask yourselves, what is the real religion of people today? What's the real religion of the state today? Can I blaspheme our Lord Jesus Christ? Does anybody worry? No problem. Blaspheme as much as you like. Can I blaspheme against the Holocaust by saying that there were no gas chambers? Horror, horror, horror. Burn him at the stake. He's a heretic. There you can see what is the real religion of the government today, of politics today, and of the mass of people today.
It seems that at this point in the history of the West, Jews had effectively seized the institutions of power to further their own Jewish interests, establishing themselves as the gods of the nations, and portraying their conquered host population as the enemies of humanity. How did such a small group of people emerge from a legacy of centuries of statelessness and oppression to achieve the pinnacle of global power and use it to such deadly effect? In this series, we will tell the most censored story in world history, as it's never been told before.